Hey, it's Webs here, and there's no need to feel like an outcast with this new Demon Hunter deck, aka Outcast Demon Hunter. This deck revolves around three major Outcast support cards, such as Bloodthorn, Redeemed Pariah, and Linehopper. These three cards allow you to make each individual Outcast card that you have a big threat, as you'll get some type of advantage off of it, and you'll also be able to control the board a little bit better. With the introduction of the new card Chaos Leech, that allows you to help deal with bigger minions that you normally wouldn't be able to deal with before this set came out. You also use Illidari Inquisitor as a finisher for the deck, and you use Skull of Gul'dan to try to discount each individual cards that you draw and refill your hand once you run low on Outcast cards. For mulligans, you usually want to keep cards like Immolation Aura if you're against an aggro matchup, or some of the cheaper Outcast cards that draw you other cards, such as Signal Runner or Double Step. Most of this deck is actually just removal tools or draw power, which is pretty good, which is also the reason why I originally had included the questline in the deck, but it just felt too cloggy, so I just removed it. Another card to keep in your opening hand would be Redeemed Pariah. The card definitely helps out creating a big enough threat for your opponent to deal with early game. It's probably the best of the three support cards for Outcast to actually keep in your opening hand. Sure, Linehopper is a 3-cost unit, and it's not bad to keep there, but I prefer the Pariahs over the Linehoppers in the opening hand. And Bloodthorn can combo off with other cards, but it needs to be a consistent threat, and you usually use it mid-game when there's no taunts. With that being said, let's get into the games. Alright, time for game 1 against Mage. Starting with a Pariah in opening hand, which is pretty good. Going to get rid of the Dreadlord Spite just because I'm going to assume it's Questline Mage. Drawing into a Spectral Sight, which is actually pretty good. So they're not Questline, because they just passed the turn. Just going to Hero Power. Going to try to save the Sigil Runner for the Pariah. Okay, so they're Hero Power, which is kind of a shock. Going to coin out the I-Beam to buff up the Pariah, so it's out of one spell range. Depending on which variant of Hero Power it is, they might not actually have that many spells. Going to play the Sigil Runner, then play the Double Step. Drawing into an I-Beam, thus protecting our Pariah for one additional turn. Though this might be able to kill it. Or not. That's actually pretty lucky for us. Going to play the Dreadlord Spite to clear out their minion and save our Pariah for one additional turn. Though they can just Hero Power here and kill it. I'm assuming at this point they're playing the low spell count variant of Hero Power. Drawing into the 2 line jumpers is actually not too bad. We just need some more Outcast cards to actually have them online. I really wish there was a better Outcast card or line hopper to actually be useful with. Sure, using 2 gets you 2 discounts on every single Outcast card. However, there's not a lot of big payoffs for Outcast cards right now. Unless you want to draw a ton of cards, then there's a lot of payoff for it. Which is why I included the Inquisitors in the deck. I figured if I could draw through most of my deck and have some actual win condition at the end, we'd be good. That's a lot of Panthers. And I mean a lot of Panthers. Probably one of the best top decks we could have got. We can completely board clear here. We can also duplicate the Inquisitor for right now. Sure, we now have one Inquisitor on each end of our hand, which is kind of bad. But at the same time, it's better to not waste a bunch of mana that we could possibly use for something. And it wasn't like we were going to get Outcast off of that card anyways. It would be cool if there was like one or two more tradable cards, so you could have like a tradable card draw engine within a class. I don't actually know which class you would give that to if you didn't make it a neutral card. It's kind of a shame because tradable is one of those mechanics that doesn't have a win condition or any big boss monster. Going to play our second Inquisitor, go face, and then kill their Alexstrasza, which is something I hate to do, but gotta do what we gotta do, you know? Holy shit, they almost had lethal. Well, too bad for them, because we definitely can probably get lethal somehow, some way. That's how we generate lethal. Okay. Alright, time for game 2 against Rogue. Immolation Aura is actually the only card here that we kind of want to keep. Drawing into a Sigil Runner, which isn't bad, and a Farsight isn't bad either. We should have probably kept that card just so we could have triggered Bloodthorn. So their quest line, which is kind of weird. I'm kind of happy that it's questline, just because questline's more enjoyable to actually play against than Rogue.
This guy's toast.
They really do need to make Mathis Shaw into a card. I know that card right there is supposed to be Mathis Shaw, but for such an important named lore character, it would be a shame to introduce the SI questline without introducing Shaw as a card. I'm just going to play Ashen Fallen. Sure, it won't kill both minions, but it'll at least kill one and almost kill the second. That was actually quite a perfect top deck, to be honest. But they're going to be able to kill it looks like it. Kind of fine with them playing that card, just for the fact that because we have so much draw power in our deck, it doesn't matter what they stack on the top. We'll get our answers eventually. So they gave us a Wand Maker, but we're just going to kill their board. And Hero Power. Drawing into a Illidari Studies, which is actually probably one of the better options that we could have got off the Wand Maker. I think Philosophy is actually the worst one-cost spell that we could actually get off of Wand Maker. I think in most Demon Hunter decks, that's probably the worst card to get off of a Wand Maker. Now, I get playing that card just because it's an SI card, but why? There's so many better ones, and it's not like Secret Paladin or Secret Mage are running around rampantly right now, you know? Like, sure, it's a nice 5/4, but it's not going to do anything in 90% of games. They're going to get their Scabs. If they play Scabs and they don't give it some type of stealth, we should have enough cards in our hand to actually deal with it pretty quickly. We're going to bounce back the Line Hopper, which is fine, I guess. Going to play the Demon's Bite, play a Bloodthorn, do 2 damage to their face, kill their weird minion that they shouldn't be including in their deck, and then do 3 more damage. We're going to play Scabs, which isn't actually that big of a shock. Okay, they are going to give it stealth. All they really need at this point is a Battleground Battlemaster, and then they'll win. But I don't know if they're going to be running a card like that, if they're also running the SI Secret Destroyer card. So they're going to be real low here. Yeah, they most definitely have to play a Battleground Battlemaster or they just kind of lose. I guess they could bounce back our Inquisitor. That could make them win too. But we should be able to do enough damage with our Bloodthorn if they don't do that. So they are going to bounce back, which is kind of sad, but oh well. And they are going to bounce back their scabs. It makes sense. If you're playing questline, you want to try to make sure you can save your scabs as long as humanly possible. Because if you can save it, you can control the board state and your opponent pretty well. I have a feeling that questline Rogue is honestly the most fair questline out of them all. It's not too strong and it's not too weak like questline Paladin. Alright, gonna use Bloodthorn and then use Dreadlord's Bite, which I honestly forgot does face damage. And now we can finish them off with Bloodthorn. Alright, now that we're through the games, let's discuss how well the deck did and why I built the deck the way I did. So, this deck actually went through a couple iterations. I had originally included the questline because I wanted to revisit questline. However, it just felt like it was too cloggy of a deck, and by including the questline, I ran out of space for any type of win condition. It was really just, I was drawing a bunch of cards and discounting them all, and then doing nothing. So at least with this variation that I came to, you had some way to win out the game once you drew through most of your deck through the Illidari Inquisitors, but you, for the most part, were trying to control the board with some of your removal tools such as I-Beam and Chaos Leech in order to survive until you could get your big threats out, or even buff up a Pariah to be big enough where it becomes a big threat. The Outcast card that felt the worst in the deck was probably the Dreadlord's Bite. But again, it was just a weapon for the Outcast synergy. So I included it in the deck just to have another Outcast card in the deck. And it also allowed you to board clear a lot of aggro boards if you combined this with a Immolation Aura. Sigil was probably the card that felt the worst in the deck, outside of Dreadlord's Bite. Just because it's another draw power card, and I just couldn't think of anything that was more threat removal to include in the deck. I almost included Philosophy instead of the sigils, but the only target would be Inquisitor, and I didn't feel like actually using the card when I only had 2 targets in the entire deck. You could also replace it with something like Fury or Veilstream Blast, depending on what you wanted to do, or even a Throatglaive to increase your survivability. I just ended up not doing it. But if you've been wanting to use a card like Pariah and Linehopper in a deck, this deck actually has pretty good potential overall. It's really just missing like another payoff besides Bloodthorn. If Bloodthorn actually counted out as a Outcast card that could be discounted by Linehopper, then the deck would be really, really broken. But I get why it isn't counted as one, because having infinite 2/2s with lifesteal would be insane. And this card actually helps you heal a bunch and survive a bunch when comboed with some other type of Outcast card. With that all being said, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, bye-bye.